This video will support your knowledge of calcium homeostasis. After the video has been completed, you should be able to answer these following questions. You put the video on hold to write down these questions or print the page. Calcium homeostasis is the process of maintaining the correct level of calcium in the blood supply. If there's too much calcium in the blood, it must be removed. If there's too little calcium in the blood, some must be put back into the blood supply. And we're looking at the role of the skeletal system in doing just that. So homeostasis is the maintaining of the healthy levels of calcium in the blood supply. Let's begin. Let's say there is too much calcium that's in the blood supply. Because of that level, the hypothalamus, which measures the level continually of calcium in the blood supply, will send a message to the thyroid gland and activate the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, when it is stimulated, will secrete its hormone called calcitonin. Now remember, the trigger for this calcitonin is too much blood or too much calcium in the blood. You can remember it as having a ton of calcium in the blood. Calcitonin will stimulate a specific cell type called an osteoblast. The osteoblast function is to build bone. In order to build the bone, it needs to have calcium. So the osteoblast will pull calcium from the blood supply into the bone. As it does so, it lowers the levels of calcium in the blood back toward normal levels, and homeostasis has been achieved again. Once the osteoblasts have built the bone, they'll mature into a cell called an osteocyte, which is simply a mature cell that maintains the bone. On the other hand, if there's too little calcium in the blood supply, again, the hypothalamus is notified there's too little calcium. It'll then stimulate the parathyroid glands. Those glands are on the posterior side of the thyroid gland in the neck. As a result of the parathyroid gland being activated or stimulated, it will secrete its hormone, which is called parathyroid hormone. We'll refer to as PTH. The effect of the parathyroid hormone is to activate the cell called an osteoclast. Its function is to dissolve bone. Thus, if you dissolve the bone, calcium will be released. The calcium will go back into the blood supply, thus raising it back to normal levels, and homeostasis has again been achieved. So, in summary, homeostasis is maintaining the normal levels of calcium in the blood supply. The gland that produces calcitonin is the thyroid gland. The trigger for calcitonin release is too much blood too much calcium in the blood. Remember, a ton of calcium in the blood. The cell that calcitonin affects is the osteoblast. The function of the osteoblast is to build bone tissue. So the calcium level, calcitonin lowers the level of calcium in the blood by activating osteoblast, which build bone tissue, bone being built pulls calcium from the blood and brings it back to homeostasis. The parathyroid gland secretes parathyroid hormone. Its trigger is too little calcium in the blood. The cell it activates is the osteoclast. Its function is to dissolve bone tissue. So the increased PTA increases the calcium level in the blood. By dissolving bone, the calcium from the dissolved bone goes back into the blood supply. The final cell is the osteocyte. Its function is to maintain the bone as a mature bone cell.